Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3. It is January something. We are 217 days. 25th. 217 days from Elk Season. And we are the Chambers Brothers. My name's Harold.
I'm David.
And tonight on the Elk Season Podcast.
Well, we have a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Where's my number one? Crap. We got some family history we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about, petroglyphs came up at one point. Trapping stories or information about trapping, some stuff going on there. I have a video challenge for you. I didn't tell you before, but that's coming up.
Surprise. Okay.
Hopscotch of conservation stories from across the nation. And somehow burgers came up. And holy coyote. All that and more coming up on the Elk Season Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Elk Season Podcast. I have to say, the first thing I have to say this week is there will be no Elk Season Podcast next week.
Why?
Because the Ag Show, the Southern Idaho Ag Show.
Oh, that's right.
That is presented by the radio station that I work for, is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I'm going to be very busy all next week.
Is there an entry fee to that?
I have no idea.
Not for you.
I should. It's negligible, right? $1 or $2. Or
yeah, I think I remember.
Like canned goods or something.
Yeah, that's what I remember
Some
too.
non-perishable food. But you can come in. They have the giant Idaho potato on the back of a flatbed truck.
Oh, okay.
So that's a great photo op.
Yeah. I think I've got to put this on my agenda for next week.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. You'll see.
If you can, help remind me because I'll forget.
I'll send you a picture of myself in front of it.
There you go. And then,
so,
and then I'll race over there.
You'll know. You'll want a picture.
Yeah.
Because it's like Lightning McQueen's driver.
Yeah.
It's like that truck, but it's a potato on the back.
Right.
It's great.
And I remember seeing, and I'm also interested because I remember seeing a story on the person they hired to drive it this year.
Really?
Yeah, they hire different people all the time to drive it.
That's awesome.
So you take it, you spend a year driving it around wherever they need you to drive it.
I hope they're all Idaho, right? They're all obviously all Idaho.
I don't know if it's obvious, but I will say that they're hired.
I was thinking today, how many generations does our family go back in Idaho?
Our family.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good question. I think it's just 2.
Because there are,
or maybe,
yeah. So great grandpa Hugh Chambers,
okay,
was a rodeo cowboy in Salmon and Wisdom.
Oh, that's right.
Area. So the Intermountain Northwest. Grandpa had some time in Dillon. He had some time in Island Park. He had some time in Shoshone.
Yeah.
So it's all really close to that Intermountain Northwest. So, at any rate, a very rich history in the Intermountain Northwest.
Yeah, and Grandma Allen, was
also
from I want to say Swan Lake or Swan Valley area down by Preston.
Yes.
So
Downey. She went to Downey School.
Yeah,
down at Hot Springs, in the town of Downey.
Yeah,
in the Cache Valley. Yeah.
And it's interesting. I don't know if so I remember them telling a story of either planting or trees that were planted the year that they got married. Really? Along the road, the highway that goes through there. So when I went and picked up newspapers for the Idaho State Journal, I would drive down to Preston and back. I would drive through all that area, and every time I'd be thinking, my grandparents are from here. My grandma is. And there's this spot where there are these trees that are huge, big, and old.
Yeah.
On each side of the highway, and that's all I can think of every time I drive through there.
Maybe it's them. We'll never know.
Yeah,
maybe.
So it's fun at least to make those connections. But back to your point though, the history is rich and richer than I guess I was giving credit.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I never really thought about it because it's not something.
I get stuck on the story of Grandpa's dad running hooch up to Bozeman or whatever from Idaho Falls.
I don't know if I know that story.
Yeah, I think it's in his
really?
autobiography. Yeah. And Grandma wasn't too happy about that, so she moved. I think it was Grandma Coral, his mom. Is that?
Yeah. Okay.
Moved him down to Pocatello because of her frustration with him running hooch.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to read more of that.
Which surprises, based on what we know about our family, that surprises me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
so
a bit surprising.
I'm going to reread it, but that's the story
Okay.
I've been telling since I read it because I couldn't believe it. But then it's written, so
yeah. Grandpa had a pretty good skunk story. Do you remember his skunk story?
no.
Somebody told Grandpa that skunks make pretty good pets. This is a young man, 13 or 14.
Maybe I have heard, but
And he
tell
says,
it again.
But you have to perform surgery on those and remove their stink bag or whatever it is. You remove their scent pouch.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. We talk biology here. I think I know what I'm talking about. And
We're not experts. It's good.
And the way I remember him telling the story was they have this skunk. They're going to perform surgery. He's got a buddy there to hold it down. As long as it's not on his feet, he can't spray you. So Grandpa, they roll him over on his back and he's holding him down. Grandpa touches him with the knife. He doesn't like that. He wiggles out of the guy's hand, both barrels in the right eye. Gets him. So he's got this one eye. He's got his eye closed. And he says, okay, hold him over again. We'll try it again. And the skunk wiggles again and turns over, both barrels in the left eye. Oh. Now, this is how Grandpa was telling the story. Now he's got to go clean up. Okay. And they actually did get the sack removed. Okay. The scent sack removed. But somehow never got rid of the smell of skunk. Which... it will last for 7 days. No matter what you do to it, it's gonna smell for a week. It's terrible.
Yes.
So, anyways, that was Grandpa's skunk story that I remember. I think they had more than one, like 3 or 4 skunks as pets.
Wow.
From what I remember from his story, I'd have to look in his biography to find out.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I didn't heard that story, but I've heard about the skunks.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying something once upon a time about all that. So. Yeah, interesting.
And cool. We grow up in different worlds.
Yeah, and yet but given that, I still consider us first gen hunters because Grandpa didn't hunt.
He did.
Did he?
He did. But he just wasn't. He wasn't all about that. Once that generation of hunters hunted for food.
Yeah.
When you can get food elsewhere.
And growing up in the Great Depression,
Yeah, don't sink your resources into something else. That's sporting. But when I went down to New Mexico with Grandpa to see Uncle Joel, Grandpa brought, I don't know, 6-7 guns with him.
Oh wow.
And gave them to Uncle Joel. We went out to the range, we shot this I remember this Pump 22.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, it was really fun. That's the only one I got to shoot, but he had 5 or 6 of them there. That he's like, hey, I'm done with these, and just gave them to Joel.
Wow.
Yeah. So our dad wasn't a sportsman.
No.
So
I guess I don't know. I guess
Grandpa was a big time fly fisherman. Big time.
Yeah,
big time. He had so many fly rods. I
had no idea.
Oh my gosh. Every time I came down to show Sean, you're right. I had 7 sisters.
Yeah.
And Grandpa would rescue me from a house of girls.
I only had 6.
And I know.
I'm just kidding.
And bring me down and spend summers. He asked me the question, what do you want to do? He knew the answer. The answer was, I want to go fishing. And Grandpa would take me fishing. I remember Grandma cursing at Grandpa.
Uh-huh.
Because you go up in there and they were the sexual division of labor, right? You go there, the men go find food, the women tend camp.
Yeah.
And she's tending camp and she's frying up fish that he's caught. But I remember watching him like on the side of a cliff almost. Like one leg is bent all the way, one leg straight, and he sees this hole and he's high above the water, 20, 30 feet, and it's pretty steep, but I see him with his fly rod and I hear Grandma just cursing. I mean, not any curse words, but Elwood, you've fall down from there. You think I'm driving? She was just livid, and he would come back with fish, and Grandma would curse, and Grandpa would just go, right, and just laugh.
Yeah,
because that's what a marriage is.
Yeah, you just have to laugh.
It's
laughable.
You live to drive your spouse crazy when you're good at it. you get a laugh out. I don't know.
I guess
that
so.
was the relationship
probably not
that they seem to have. But definitely memories that I have. And I remember driving through the Idaho wilderness with Grandpa when he would take me fishing to all these different spots. I don't know where.
Yeah, that's
I don't
too
know
bad.
where.
That's too bad.
Oh, but I remember.
I remember him taking me fishing once.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the most pleasant experience, but I also have to put it in context. I'm the youngest of the family.
Yeah.
Age has its toll. Ambition, motivation, and so
I was his first grandson.
Yeah.
I was his first grandson.
By the time,
and he was a Teddy Roosevelt man's man kind of thing. And my dad's a librarian.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a disconnect between those two. But I was the first grandson.
But by the time I come around, it's
right. And he had aged out of sporting, of outdoor sports, just a little bit.
So and it wasn't. I didn't have a lot of one-on-one. I mean, he gave me a rod, but then I screwed up all the line. He just said, "Go play," kind of thing, and I was like.
That was primarily my experience.
Okay.
He wasn't there helping me learn how to fish. I never caught a fish with Grandpa.
Okay.
So, you know that story.
Probably.
I recorded that story.
Yeah.
It was your first fish.
Well, I remember my first fish. Yeah.
That's the story that I tell about your first fish.
Oh,
because
you gave me the scaffolding I needed to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't easy. And I could sense probably some frustration because you're like, just figure it out, kid. But you still help.
I wanted to fish.
Right.
Yeah.
But you took the time to do this. So I've always been grateful for all of those experiences. That's just one of the trunk loads of things you've helped me with in life.
I was lucky. I had 7 sisters at home, and at Scouts, I had 7 brothers. There, in fact, when I went to church, we went to Scouts with the people we went to church with, and at church there were no girls in our age group. It was just 7 boys.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, and I would say I learned 90%. I caught my first fish with Steve Maughan, and Steve Maughan had 6 sisters and a brother 8 years younger named Peter Maughan.
Oh, okay.
And they lived up by the Capitol, by the governor's mansion. Anyway, and I know Peter Maughan.
Maybe.
You did when you were kids.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. I spent a lot of time with Steve. He was a really, really good friend to me. I remember, fishing with him at the fairgrounds. Me and Steve Maughan took the Dial-A-Ride.
Oh, yeah.
The transit in Helena, Montana was called Dial-A-Ride. You give them 50 cents, they'll pick you up and drop you off in whatever order that you got on.
Now I don't remember if my memory is serving me correct, but wasn't there at one point like a Roadrunner on the side of that thing, like an old paint job of a Roadrunner on there?
I don't recall.
The cartoon, the Roadrunner.
Yeah, I don't recall. But anyways, we took Dial-A-Ride to the fairgrounds to go fishing.
Yeah.
And fished at the fairgrounds, and then ended up at Spring Meadow a lot. And that's where I caught my first fish, is in Spring Meadow. And I watched Steve fish 10 Mile Creek. And you could see, he's a good fisherman. Huh. He was in the war in Iraq in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And he was in Imperial Palace ponds fishing.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, great fisherman.
Someone who's really into their stuff. It's hard to keep them away wherever they're at.
But the first time I fished 10 Mile Creek with Steve, I had no idea what's going on. Right.
Yeah.
I know there's a waterway. I don't know about holes, and that's where I learned it from.
And something I'm looking forward to this year, and I want to say this quietly so Vessa doesn't have to hear. I want to buy some gear to do better job salmon fishing.
Salmon. I've been thinking about salmon too. Today I've been thinking about salmon.
I don't have my permit yet. I haven't bought my season stuff. Yeah. But there's stuff coming up like right soon, like right now. There's some places. So
yeah, I think steelhead season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I would like to have the more, I don't know that it'll be the right gear, but it'll be closer to the right gear. Because I know what I brought last year, there's nowhere near. After I got home and I started researching, what does it really take to catch one of these things?
Yeah. We weren't close.
There's a rod that has a certain pound.
Yeah.
There's line that has a certain weight.
Yeah.
There's certain, I mean, we
were way off.
Way off.
And I caught a trout.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
we were seeing everybody else with that gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just because it looks similar doesn't make it the same.
Right.
That's what I learned in that research. And so I don't know if it's on my Amazon or somewhere. I wrote down, I started putting together a list in a Google Doc for fishing gear. So I have it written down somewhere. Like
that was a good data catch for us. I mean, just going out,
you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere. That was a good to be able to sit on that for a year. Go okay.
So I'm going to use this to segue into my challenge.
Okay.
So I told you I had a challenge for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll look like or how it's going to go. I have some ideas, but we talk a lot about elk hunting. We talk a lot about the stuff we watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
We've talked about recording our own treks.
Yes.
But we haven't substantiated anything yet.
Right.
So the challenge is for both of us to figure out how to get some of that footage. I think I'm over my anxiety of historical times where I'm like, if you got your phone out, if you got a camera, you're not hunting. I think I'm done with that. I get it because I'm to a point where I'm confident with hunting that I can incorporate some other things. So what would it take to at least record, the effort it takes to get somewhere, even if I can't record the actual harvest of the animal, right? So just putting some
harvest.
So adding some content from different excursions we have. So figuring out how to get some quick video clips of what we're doing, and just so we have to get ourselves to train when and how to start pulling out the phone, even if it's just done with our phones, like we're doing with this
all the
podcast.
Time. All the
and
time.
So
record everything. Record almost everything.
So I'm just saying the challenge is let's start getting some kind of other content.
Yeah.
Related to our efforts that could be fun and unique. And again, like the fishing thing gives us a place to start, and you can't grow unless you go, kind of thing.
Agree.
That's my challenge. I hope you
I like it. I like it. I definitely need to record more. Just have my phone out. Every time I do, I'm like, now I'm cognizant of it. I'm like, oh, my phone's over there. I need to be here. Where's the shot? So, and all of that is a data set. You like, how far away can I be?
And you've got a lot of good experience with that. And I think a lot about how you'll just stop on a dime to just do a quick video of some kind.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
and I don't do nearly enough.
And but I don't do any. And so my challenge to you is more or less a challenge to myself.
Good.
Because if we can get some content, even if it wasn't, because when we are not hunting and we're not doing this, we don't really have the time. But even if it was just something like, hey, here's my contribution, and then there's something we can do. So
I believe I have stacks of hard drives with videos and pictures and all sorts of stupid stuff on them.
Yeah.
I know there's a day coming, and a day coming soon. I can load those into an AI program and say, hey, was it 2013 or 2014 that I was up in this area? And do I have any video of that? because getting through it, wading through it is a lot right now.
No, I get that. So the challenge would not, obviously, when AI shows up, use it. But moving forward, to try to figure out a way to organize some of these baby steps to get 5-minute video of, hey, here's what I was doing. Here's how it started. Here's some of the stuff that I did. Here's how it ended. Even if I have to recap it and just say, I don't have it on video, but here's what happened.
When I shot my elk in 22, I set my phone up on a tripod and recorded as I started to butcher. The guys came down and helped me.
Yeah.
And I talked to them, and we packed up and left. And I have that video still. It's an hour and a half long. Wow. It's our entire conversation. It's us taking the elk completely apart.
Nice.
Everything. So I still have that. But anyway. It's good content, and it's hard to know. It's hard to know where to fit in on YouTube. There's so many good hunters on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
they're so good, and they're so good at cameraing, and they're so much better at hiking and calling and all that stuff. Oh. And they're so great to watch. I just love them. But anyway,
so there you go.
Yeah.
Where do we need to go next?
I wanted to talk about wolves. I don't have any specific wolf data in there this week.
I do.
But I do want to say that every month 3,000 elk are killed by wolves in Idaho.
Yeah.
Every month 3,000 elk are killed by wolves just in the state of Idaho. So if we can get that down, I see this, I showed you some TikToks and I showed you some, a place in Wisconsin where they have to change the laws because of increased predation, from wolves and bobcats. And I'm sure mountain lions, they're always everywhere.
Yeah. I have a mountain lion story today.
Oh, right on. I saw footage of a jaguar in Arizona.
Wow.
Confirmed. So jaguars are back because that's a natural habitat.
Yeah, meow.
Yeah. Anyway,
they're back, meow.
Yeah, right, meow.
Right, meow.
So, anyways, that's what I wanted to say about the wolves. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned with the elk population, knowing that it's 300,000 or so in Colorado.
Uh-huh.
And it's 130, 140 here in Idaho. It's 130, 140, 150 in Montana. And to think that sportsmen kill 20,000 and elk kill 30,000. 26,000. It would be less than 30,000. But somewhere close to 50,000 elk out of 100 and
that's a big chunk.
It's a huge chunk. And so it really, when I see alarm bells are going off in my head when I see that video that I showed you from Wisconsin.
Yes.
The alarm bells are going off like, hey, we really need to be as a sportsman community. We need to much more actively manage predators, and wolves are a really big part of that story. So I'm going to continue my wolf education. And
I feel like I need to say this. When we say actively manage predators, that includes humans.
Yeah.
And more. So part of your concern that you expressed earlier.
Is them actively managing me. That's my concern.
Yes.
Yes. So, it's a big concern.
I'm glad I didn't have to speak for you. I'm glad.
Yes.
No,
that's
hold
right
on.
Where I am.
I'm glad that hold on. I'm trying to make a point
we
here.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it was just that I said I'm glad I didn't have to speak for you, and I felt like that was the wrong thing to say because but I'm gonna speak for you. No, you spoke for yourself, and I don't know what I'm trying to say there. I'm gonna back off. Move on. So you recently did some trapping classes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this would appeal to you, but hunter, bow hunter, and wolf trapper education classes offered in the Magic Valley.
Really? Yes, I am interested. The one that's available, I think, is in Glens Ferry. When is this one?
I don't have that immediately available.
Okay.
I will
find out.
I read it, but I don't remember. Yeah. This is straight from the.
Yeah.
So Idaho Fish and Game have a really cool app. You can carry your license with you. You can't carry your tags, but you can have your license with you to go fishing and hunting. Yeah. As long as you have your tags, if you're hunting something that has a tag. But it's got a lot of great other resources like fish finders and hunt planners and the news from the Idaho Fish and Game.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to make it a point to check in with their news that they email me every week, but I just go into the app and I can find it too. And so that's what I was doing. I was just taking some screenshots of some of the things that I've read from the app. So,
okay.
But yeah, so
I will
check
jump
into
on the
that.
app. I will jump on the app and find that wolf class.
Or at least the article.
Because somebody asked me. I was at the gym and somebody goes, "Hey, your wife's out of town." My wife's in Austin, Texas this week. She was in Miami a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She's in Austin, Texas this week. And they're like, "What's it like? You're running the house by yourself and doing that." I go, "Look, man, as long as nobody asks questions and when September rolls around, I'm good."
Yeah.
You want to go? My wife and I made an agreement a long time ago. Look, you're a grown up. You know what our means are. If there's something you want to do it. I know what our means are. I'm a grown up. If there's something I want to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm very seriously thinking about a trip to Nome. Very seriously. I do want to spend time there. Anyway, he goes, "You know what? That's funny you say that. My dad loves snowmobiling. And my mom thinks it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. So much money and so much time is spent. It's just so ridiculous." He goes, "But my mom has fainting goats." And they both just agree. That's your thing. You get to have it.
Yeah.
So I go, yeah. So I'm on a good path then.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So based on that, I don't have anybody I'm going to name specifically, but holy crap, all the people that popped in my head just now based on that premise.
Right. Right. You know, a lot of couples, you're like, how do you deal with that? Oh, I wonder what her trip is, you know, right?
Fainting ghosts.
Fainting ghosts. She just loves the fainting ghosts, man. And it's,
All right.
oh, can you imagine rolling your eyes to that? Oh, God.
Okay.
But you know what? And when I talk about hunting, it was a family joke for years.
Yeah.
That I go, I'm just going out. I'm hiking. I'm going alone. I'll go alone. I'll be back in 5 days with nothing. And they all know it. And Mom would say every year, well, unless Dad gets something, the kids would just laugh.
Yeah.
They would just giggle and try to hide it.
Yeah, there's similar sentiment around here.
Yeah. That's great, which is just great.
So,
And I'm okay with it.
Should I just continue on some of the? I'm just kind of flipping through here.
Let's go to the Trapper. There should be the spreadsheet. If you can see the spreadsheet,
Okay.
I just found the spreadsheet really interesting.
I have it's just towards the front end of this thing. That's sorry. This is not as user friendly as my phone or app is, or a tablet that I dropped, or I didn't drop. I crushed with a guitar.
Oh.
It was right over there next to you. The iPad was sitting where that gray foam is.
Oh. Okay.
And I had a guitar in my hands, an acoustic guitar. There's still a scar on the guitar, and I had my foot up on something, and I turned around, but I'm old, and my leg cramped up around my hip, and I fell over, and I fell with the butt of the guitar onto that stool where the iPad was, and just shattered it.
Oh.
I was so disappointed. Okay, I've got this up. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I find to trap for me would definitely be a hobby. I'm not going to quit my job and become a full-time trapper.
Right, but you could make some money.
But it's not it's not my interest. It's not what I'm interested in. I mean, it's cool that it's worth that kind of money. It's cool that there's money in the pelts.
Yeah.
It's interesting that wolves are not listed.
Right.
In those pelts. And I do not quite understand that. I'm sure I'll find out more when I go to my wolf trapping class.
And I don't know if you can answer this question. So because I didn't look at this earlier, you're just kind of reading it to me.
Yeah.
I have a question when I look at this. So very quickly I assess, okay, here's all the offered. So they have collected. So you have to register what you're offering, how many pelts, right? What is interesting to me is, so you must have to register when you go to these events. This is what I'm bringing.
Right.
Because they've collected that data. Sorry, I answered my own question.
Okay.
When I re-looked at this just now.
Yeah, I'm giving you time.
So it's a lot to take in, man. I think what's really intriguing, though, even though, yes, I wouldn't quit my job to do this, the percentage of pelts sold on all categories is remarkably high. The lowest one being 85.6% for red fox.
Yeah. And so this is like a national average. If you can tell, this was not from Glens Ferry. This was not Idaho. If you look, the bobcats are from the Southwest, they're worth a little bit less. From the Northwest, they're worth more, right?
Okay, so, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so this is like a basic, I don't know, like a national
survey.
I'm not even sure of the context, but I just found it interesting.
Yeah,
that all of these prices at different times because
I thought I actually thought this was a Glens Ferry thing, so I'm glad you gave some context there.
I think I told you that it was, but I did watch a clip of the best-selling bobcat at Glens Ferry. It was over $500, so I thought that was really cool. I think I saw a Facebook feed of them guys just showing off the pelt, but they have buyers that come in and look at every single pelt and price every single pelt. Wow. It's not just 20 for this, 20 for a coyote, 50 for a fox. No, it's every individual.
It's the quality.
Pelt.
It's the fur. I'm no expert, but I'm guessing that it's a whole range of things. How well tanned is the leather? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So I just find it fascinating. What I intend to do. Here's my long-term goal in 5 years. And I know I may have told you this before, but a sheep in wolf's clothing.
Yeah.
Just a line of stuff. If you want to support elk in Idaho, you can buy a wolf pelt from me that I have tanned myself and lined with wool and made a hat, a mittens, or or something fashionable.
A scarf.
But it is a scarf. A wolf in sheep's clothing is the idea. Sheep in wolf's clothing is the idea, with wolf on the outside and wool on the inside.
Yeah.
And so that's my intent. We'll see how far I get with that one. But I got to buy a snowmobile first, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's hard to justify a snowmobile. I think we talked about this last week.
I know, unless I can. It's hard to justify a boat, but the world is 70% water.
So is your body, apparently.
It's only 30% land, and you got 2 cars. That's justification for a boat. That's any argument. That kills any argument for a boat right there. Anyway.
We talk about it every year. I'm just bringing it back up. I'm going to throw it out there real quick. Idaho Hunter Education Program is recruiting for volunteers again. So I'm not in the right place yet, but if somebody hears this and sees it, check in with the Idaho Fish and Game if you're interested in providing those courses. It's it's a voluntary process. If you ever decide to
volunteer, I volunteer as your assistant.
Okay. I don't know what holds me back other than some of the other things I have going on outside of this.
You got a family, man. You got 5 kids to feed.
In a technical way, if you count the dog and the cat, yes.
Yeah.
So we brought up mountain lions earlier. Should we?
Yeah.
Unless you had something else you wanted to jump to first, or
no. I don't think. You know what? If you look at that spreadsheet, I don't think mountain lion, but mountain lion's not a fur bearer. That's big game, and I think wolf is also big game. And
maybe that's why they're not on here.
And that's the differentiation, but I don't know.
That's probably not too far removed.
Okay.
Because I didn't see lion on there. No. Where was it? Mountain lions. Wood River Valley increasing attacks on domestic livestock and pets. So
I saw that.
Being pushed down into the valleys from the snow. We see that every year. Seems like.
Yeah. And you think you drive through Sun Valley and you drive through the Wood River Valley, and you think, gosh, all the space is taken. There's no room for growth.
Yeah.
And yet it grows.
Yeah.
And yet it grows. It's not great,
no.
but there is an increase in the human population and an increase in the activities in that buffer zone between urban and wild areas.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to see stories like this. This is exactly what we expect to see.
An interesting headline out of Colorado regarding mountain lions.
Yeah.
Just on the surface, I can't remember all the details from the article I read, but the headline is just Colorado cancels April mountain lion season amid, and this is surprising, anti-hunting opposition.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They voted to curtail mountain lion hunting. Worried about the decision was spurred by anti-hunting interest.
So anti-hunting isn't very good biology or ecology anyway.
Right.
I mean,
but if the pushback is obviously they have to reassess, like, well, what's going on here? Where did it come from? Why did it happen? What do you do about it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of
okay. Well, thank you for finding that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on that.
Yes.
I will definitely want to know where that goes. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Conservation officers in eastern Idaho, it's eastern Idaho. So this is from the Idaho Fish and Game again. Several deer shot and left to waste in Teton Canyon over in eastern Idaho. I don't know where Teton Canyon is, but there was a picture when you clicked on this article in the app. It took you and it showed the dead deer, and they don't have any leads per se, but we've talked about poaching before.
Yeah.
Somebody knows something.
Yep.
And so hopefully that comes out somewhere.
Yeah, there was a big display of the Fish and Game has a great big display that they take out of taxidermy stuff and I think like at the fair.
Yeah.
Right, you see them, you're like, wow, look at all this stuff. Where does this stuff come from? They go, oh, it's all from poaching cases. Wow, how did you catch them? They didn't see them. They didn't see it happen. They were all snitched on. Yeah. And good. And
did I send you that YouTube show of the? You did. Did you watch some of that?
No, I haven't.
That's okay.
No, I haven't.
It's crazy stuff. It was interesting, but that one episode I found was about poaching. But okay. After 31 years, this headline I came across says that the feds have moved ahead with plans to introduce grizzlies to bitterroot mountains.
Okay.
So let me see if there's anything more important to read here. Bitterroot Mountains in Montana and Idaho are one of the 6 grizzly bear recovery zones in the lower 48, but they still don't have a breeding population.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's well, you were concerned about, well, I thought they were there, but it sounds like it's
not in population. So, right, in 1994, there were wolves in Montana.
Yeah.
Right? Before they were reintroduced, there were wolves there. There just wasn't enough of a breeding population, and there was such a strong the shoot, shovel, and shut up policy when it came to wolves for 50 years before that. So yeah, they just need more, and a few more bears. We're gonna have to do something with them. Either we're gonna end up hunting them someday. They're gonna have to be removed someday, and until the Sierra Nevadas have grizzly bears back in them. In California.
Right.
And that should be another grizzly recovery zone soon.
Let's hope.
We're pushing for that. Somebody told me, you know what? Let me tell you something right now. Grizzly bears belong in California. They do. Yeah. That is undeniable. It is all. I don't even know how to say this. I heard Twin Falls is getting an In-N-Out burger. I heard they're coming here. That's a California chain restaurant in my backyard. There's plenty of places to get a good burger. I don't need an In-N-Out.
There's already so many burger joints here.
I know. It doesn't matter. They'll line up for hours to get an In-N-Out burger. They just will. It's so dumb.
There's so many burger joints, and this town doesn't need another burger joint.
Joints too. Good burger joints. Anyway, just thought you should know. That's part of why I want grizzly bears back in California. I got an In-N-Out burger I got to deal with. Take some grizzly bears. Respect the wilderness, G-Diet.
Sorry, I know. I hope that's not a true rumor, because I don't care what brand or branch. We just don't need another burger joint in Twin.
We when In-N-Out Burger opened up in Boise, we had a meeting from the radio station. There's 2 employees at the radio station here in Twin Falls, and there's 15 of them up in Boise, right? There's a whole bunch. And so once a week we have a meeting.
Yeah.
But it's a virtual meeting. And so I'm staring at this big screen, and somebody's like, "Oh, so-and-so went down and got some In-N-Out burger." Yeah, they opened early. And they all got so excited about the In-N-Out burger. And I started bashing on them. As much as there's a parade in front, and the boss is a good guy. He's like, when there's a parade, you get in front of it. I'm like, I agree, but I'm in a different parade. I'm in the parade that says we don't need that. Nobody's lining up behind me, but they're there,
right?
And just like you and me, there's plenty of them. Like, yeah, that's dumb. But anyway,
we
could be getting an In-N-Out burger.
Could we?
So they made it a point. They made a point in a meeting this week. They go, because I gave them so much crap about the In-N-Out burger. I go, you're from California if you know your In-N-Out burger without looking at the menu, right? You just know that. And they're like, yeah, but the menu's so short. I'm like, exactly. I have no idea.
I didn't know that. I
had no idea. There's like 7 things. And so I gave him so much crap during the meeting that this week during the meeting, the CEO pointed out, "Hey, I know you're going to be excited about this. There's an In-N-Out burger coming to Twin." They just like to see me cry. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why I want to send grizzly bears to California, because they send an In-N-Out burger here.
Okay.
That's good enough. That's ecology for me.
All right. Something got killed somewhere, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if that even made sense to the context there. Michigan.
Yeah.
Deer. Tell me more.
So I watched a video on TikTok, and immediately I'm thinking chronic wasting disease.
My brain went there. You actually filled my brain because I didn't quite, because I was like, I didn't know if that's where you were going.
Yeah.
So you're like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, well, hold on. You're like, chronic wasting disease? And I'm like, well, yes.
I know. Well, the video was short. We don't have a lot of time. And I'm just like, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, no, they're limiting tags in northern Michigan.
Yeah.
Because of chronic wasting disease. It's not chronic wasting disease.
No, it was a different.
It's predation. It's cats and dogs. It's the wolves, the coyotes, and the bobcats and the mountain lions.
Yeah.
It's cats and dogs that are decimating the population because they're not managing their predator population properly.
Right.
And they need more
and
people
it
doing
was
that.
an anti-wolf propaganda video, if I remember correct. I thought there was some agenda there with wolves.
They did talk about wolves. Wolves are part of that, and of course they're going to be.
Yeah.
And okay, I don't know if it has wolves in the title, it's propaganda, right?
Yeah.
On one side or the other, I think. But
sorry, I wasn't familiar with this headline. Shooting deviant wolves with paintball guns is legal?
yeah. I didn't tell you about this one on purpose.
Okay.
This is training wildlife.
Oh, I got you.
This is training wildlife. You see a human shoots a paintball, and you can actually get paintballs that are pepper.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Right? Why not train the wildlife? This is what most people should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a guy on TikTok trying to feed a deer out of his front porch.
No.
And just videoing the bear getting into his hot tub. Oh, isn't that cute?
Oh.
You dummy. Do something. And this is why they made it legal, is to teach the animals. Oh, yeah. And
Cool.
Generations can go by, and you can put the paint guns away, and the wolves will leave them alone. That's from another country, too, right?
I couldn't tell. Yeah, Dutch.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So that's not legal
Denmark.
anywhere in the United States. That's harassment of wildlife. But I think that's the right attitude to take when humans are in big predator country. To teach them that humans are off limits. No. One guy with a paint gun can help 20 people without one. Because it's just, I'm not going near those guys.
So I hope this next one's a joke.
Okay.
It's got a guy in a truck with his gun on a rest. And it's almost making like, here, Idaho, you can have this. It's like.
I also didn't tell you about this one. As we were talking before the podcast.
Okay.
We were talking about, funny stuff. And this is what I think of when I think of rifle hunting. This picture. This is what rifle hunting is, man. It's a platform for your elbow, and I'm not telling you I've never shot like that, right? I've definitely put the 22 on the window, rolled it up and down so I could get the gopher.
Right.
But this is big game hunting, and it's definitely illegal. It's
Yes.
definitely illegal, but I just thought it was a comical look.
That's okay.
Like it's a joke. But you got a permit for that, sir? Oh yeah.
There you go.
It's right here next to my therapy cat. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
That's a dead mountain lion. Yeah, I know.
Therapy, bro.
Petroglyphs near Dubois. And there was some petroglyphs last week.
Yeah,
I don't remember talking about for some reason.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, but that's okay. But petroglyphs.
Oh, you mentioned the paleontologist you share your office with.
Oh yeah, okay, now I remember.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But
But
it wouldn't surprise me that I mentioned her.
I just like the way these look. These this is Intermountain Northwest. I think the page is Love Wyoming or something. But a lot of interesting petroglyphs. And you and I have a mutual friend, Jason, who went out with his dad. His dad was a big time outdoors guy. And they were out in the South Hills, and they came across a trail of rocks. And his dad goes, "Oh, this is hundreds of years old. This is a territory boundary.
Oh wow,
this is a marker of territory." And the way he put it, it's just interesting. It was just interesting. So there's just that we're not the first inhabitants.
No.
Of this country,
and I would argue that what we think of as first inhabitants were also not. So
also not. We're learning more every week.
I mean, when I read 1491 and 1493,
yeah,
there was some great information there, but we've learned even more since those books were published.
Yeah. If you think about just what it takes, and I've heard this equation somewhere, right? If we were here, how many thousands of years ago? Even if you go the conventional 14, let's go 12,000 years ago. How long would it take a very small population of humans to reach full carrying capacity in the Americas? Right? And they do the equation, and you're like, you got survival rates this, but there's lots of food.
Yeah.
But, and it's all hand to mouth, but it's like it's only a few hundred years.
Wow.
It's a surprisingly short amount of time that the Americas fill with people.
So you can imagine
when you run that equation, all of a sudden all you have these different populations. Then it's basically less.
When you hear about what smallpox did to the population.
Yeah.
When Europeans came over.
Yeah.
The scope is more dramatic than the numbers we can calculate because we don't know, because the populations were told by those the first people that came over here talked about how there was lots of inhabitants.
Right.
But then there wasn't.
Right.
So
right. And there is a carrying capacity. There is a way. I know ecologists can probably get a really good estimate of the amount of people that could live in any given area of the United States. And it was a much denser population like it is now in the East than it was out West. Out West was very arid. The territories were very big. South America, a whole nother story down there. And even through Argentina and Chile, very, very different landscapes. But there is a certain carrying capacity for each one of those ecological zones. And I'm sure, the ecologists look into that, and anyway, fascinating stuff.
You also brought some gear I'd like to buy. I didn't tell you that out in the living room, but the fall away rest that will hold on to your arrow when it's in rest.
Yeah.
Versus when you pull back.
Yeah.
I came across something similar in 2008, 2009 when I lived in Pocatello, but this one I like better. I like the design because it's a magnetic arms that flop down. I don't know, just. It's on my gear list now.
It's just cool. It's funny to me that we're just like the Native Americans with our gear.
There is that.
So and every year, and you think, well, how much more technology could we possibly have in archery hunting?
Our previous anthropology instructor who retired a few years ago.
Yeah.
He presented, and I wish I would have known about it. And I heard from my department chair this morning, I think. Hold on. I must reduce my anxiety by making sure I can see my screen behind me.
Okay.
We're good. We're still recording. All right. Anyway, so his name is Jim Woods.
Yeah.
And he gave a presentation having something to do with building his own bow and arrows and all from scratch. And my department chair described it as being, he's retired now. And this is just something he's always wanted to do. So you could tell he's just having fun with his life passion of doing those things. Yeah. And I'm like, and I had actually asked him right before he was retiring, I go, hey, would you ever teach flint knapping? And, he said, I tried it once, but I can point you in the right direction, as in, I'm not going to teach you. Right. Because he's retiring, and I can totally get it. But.
And there's groups of people that still get together and do flint knap and do primitive skills together. Yeah.
So anyway, but that was, I wish I would have been able to go see that presentation, because something about how, because he's very adept to a lot of these old traditions, and he had a lot of good knowledge that way.
The stories make all the difference.
But talking, as she told me about a story of like oh crap, I can't remember all the details. I'm not going to go there. But she said she gave a story that he told about leaving an arrow in the ground for some reason. I can't remember what that was, but it's like, dang it, should have.
There's people that I follow on TikTok that just dig for arrowheads.
Yeah.
And like there's just an old hunting ground that they lost a lot of arrows, and the type of instruments that they find are just beyond fascinating. They're so fantastic. The way they're able to make curved tools and the little notches and just everything. It's so cool. It's so cool. And you think it could have been 1,000 years ago, could have been 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Could have been 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It could have been, and you know.
Just remember though, kids, in the state of Idaho, you must leave it where you found it unless it's on private property that you own.
Yeah. Unless it's aluminum arrow, because I found one of those.
Yeah, unless it's clearly identified as a modern tool. But if you find arrowheads or anything that is pre modern times, you're required to leave it. Take a picture of it and let them know so they can go. Yeah. I can contact my friend on the campus and maybe there's something that she could help organize. Yeah. So
there was a gal I worked with that always went up into the South Hills 4-wheeling, and they always found arrowheads. Always.
Yeah.
So, of course, they took pictures of them and would show them, but there was...
I wasn't accusing them of taking them. I'm just kidding.
I'm not saying they didn't. But they also took pictures of them.
Right. The last thing we have here is just this crazy video of some wild dog-like creatures going through a cornfield.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah. It says in the video that the guy counted 80-some coyotes, but in the video we watched, he got up to 40 or maybe 41.
And it's like there's one point where you're like, there couldn't be that many more, and then like it's like they're like everybody go at once, and like 20 of them jump across. It was crazy. Coyotes are. It's funny because I have a tendency to only see them individually.
Yeah.
So this was a kind of a treat to see them in the daylight in that big pack like that. I've heard them a lot, out in Dietrich, and I just remember you can hear these packs of coyotes right around sunset. They just kind of go crazy.
Yeah,
it's like, my goodness,
they do everywhere. Yeah, we've heard them in other places. We've heard them in Arizona. Yeah, and I heard them when I went out in 55 in December.
We hear them all the time up where we hunt up north. So just kind of a cool video. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah, I've been following a lot of trappers. I've been following coyote hunters for a while. They use greyhounds to chase them down.
Oh, okay.
They have greyhounds trained. I mean, coyotes are fast.
Yeah,
but not as fast as a greyhound,
I would imagine.
And they get up to speed. That coyote's already running full speed, and they have to stop and let the dogs out. But man, you get 4 or 5 of them, and they just roll them up. They just tackle them and roll them up and tear them to pieces. So I find that fascinating. And I do like watching coyote hunting videos. I want to go out and hunt some coyotes.
They are tricksters.
Yeah, they are.
So.
But it looks fun. It looks fun, and we need predator management. And I think I'd like to trap a bobcat, but I'm afraid. The instructor said if you trap bobcats, expect to catch a mountain lion.
Okay.
Just expect it.
All right.
Because I know.
Well, mountain lions aren't aren't going down in numbers here in Idaho. That I know of.
You still have to let them out.
Yeah.
You have to get them out of that trap. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just beginning this whole journey. But bobcats are interesting to me. I love their pelts. I think they're beautiful. Fox, I've always loved red fox. A good red fox. Oh, they're so cool in nature. They're so cool. And as a pelt, which is also nature.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
Just doing some final notes here.
All right, that's good. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 semanas.
That's what he said. Goodbye.
Cheers.